Tell them free Misha, yo. Subway, free.
Are we there? Hi, and welcome to the inside world of partying with PS Parties and Events and
Joyous Occasions.
This is Party Style, and we'd like to welcome you to our broadcast, our first broadcast. And we're going to spend some time talking about everything there is to talk about regarding parties and how to have a great occasion without spending a ton of money. First of all, let me tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Gwen, and I have been in the party and event planning business for a very long time. About 20 years ago, I decided that I would blow up a balloon and that would make a great party. And from that, it has evolved into a wedding and party event planning service. We also do wedding coordinating, day of coordination. We host special wedding events, which I will tell you a little bit about one of our most popular upcoming events here shortly. Birthday parties, anniversaries. It's funny because
baby showers.
I went through the alphabet when I was setting up my website from A to Z, describing the types of parties and the different types of parties that we have done over the years. And I've decided that at some point I need to have a Zumba party because I didn't have anything under Z. Just about every other celebration was covered. And so I have a background, like I said, in the party industry. I also have a background in business and banking and law, jack of all trades, you name it. I probably have done it. Pageantry is also a huge event planning service that we provide and have done many, many times. I've been involved in very, very small local church pageants as well as several Miss USA state pageants, which I had the honor of being on the event staff for the Miss Nebraska USA, Miss Kansas USA, Miss Missouri USA state pageants for several years. So when it comes to parties, I'm that one that's always behind the scenes, but I can probably help you have a party without breaking the bank. Along with me today, I'd like to introduce to you my friend and also a colleague of mine, Miss Gina.
Yes, good evening, everyone. My name is Gina Dorch, and again, with Miss Gwen, we have partnered on a couple different business ventures, and this here most recent. I do as well have approximately 20 plus years in design and coordination, party planning, event planning, also doing a lot with, right now, gift wrapping. That is going to be the newest thing for the last couple of years, which is under Joyous Occasions. And so with that, we are providing services for those that do not like, they love the shopping, but they do not like and they love the gift giving, but they don't like the process of gift wrapping. And so Joyous Occasions is here to take care of that for you. We are providing the services, and it's by appointment only. So you can certainly reach out to us via our website or our email, as well as giving us a call. It's by appointment only. And so no package is too small, no package is too large. We are there to work with those, giving them an expensive look at an inexpensive cost. We also, I am participating along with Miss Gwen with the upcoming wedding event, which is going to be fantastic, fantastic. We have done everything again from landmark birthdays to landmark anniversary parties, baby showers.
To memorials.
Yes, exactly. Repasts, memorials. And so we've kind of been to the extreme of everything. We've done it all, as she said, A through Z. We've kind of covered it all. Folks will give us a call and say, hey, today is Tuesday. I want to get married on Saturday. We've made that happen,
We've
too.
made that happen. We'll make that happen again.
Happen. Yes, ma'am. We are definitely there to get it done. We try to keep things available. Most folks would consider it hoarding. For us, it's a matter of being supplied. We are very well stocked with most designs that folks will ask for or products that folks need from us. So we are available to you. And again, as with Ms. Gwen, I have done a lot in the community. I do a lot of community outreach. I've done a lot with nonprofits.
Absolutely.
We initially met at a bank.
Absolutely.
Well,
we
both
did.
of us were in the banking career and have since grown on to do other things. Now working, doing nonprofit, doing the accounting and bookkeeping, as well as working right now with the school district. So that has been quite interesting.
Yeah, we've had some rich and full lives.
Oh, definitely.
You know,
Most definitely.
there's always a method to why people party, and what we want to talk about today for our, I guess, our maiden voyage is just, it doesn't, just because it has a low budget, I like to say that it's affordable, does not mean it has to look like it was low budget and not
Exactly,
affordable.
exactly.
We always believe in doing things with class and with style, but knowing that you just have to know the people that you can get in touch with who can provide that service for you, so that it looks like you spent, you know, $10,000 on your wedding reception, and
Exactly.
yet you may have only spent a very, very small percentage of that. I mean, less than 1% even.
Correct.
At times.
Exactly.
And Gina mentioned something very interesting, because my sons, they do sometimes brand me as a hoarder, because as I run across different items,
Have to get 'em.
I have to get them, because I know at some point there's going to be an event, there's going to be a
Someone will need
party, someone is going to need it. And if you're able to go to someone, such as a party planner, a wedding coordinator, a gift wrapping service, anything like that, you know, it may take a little bit of effort and time on your part, but just think about the money that you're going to save and being able to utilize someone else's creativity. That's what we offer. Gina talked about joyous occasions, and I'm going to just very quickly give a plug to one of our big upcoming events. It's a wedding event, and PS Parties and Events is the name of my company, and we are hosting this fabulous wedding chapel on 12, 13, 14. For those of you that don't quite get it, that's Saturday, December 13th, 2014. It's about 3.5 weeks away. So what we're offering is a beautifully decorated chapel in a very nice setting, and we're going to remove that I can't get married because I can't afford it.
Right.
That whole excuse that a lot
Or
of
I
people
can't
use.
find a venue.
Yes, I can't find a venue. It's winter time. You're going to be able to drive up, get married. If you want to renew your wedding vows, if you want to just make a commitment and it not be a legal ceremony, we're going to provide that for you. And we have several packages available. You can find information on our website, which is www.ps, that's P as in Paul, S as in Sam, parties and events, all spelled out, no fancy spellings, pspartiesandevents.com. It will explain the wedding event. It will explain the different packages that we have available. But someone can walk in and actually get married,
Right.
have a beautiful backdrop for pictures. You can have guests and everything for as little as like $100.
Right.
And so that excuse, for those of you that have been thinking about getting married, that excuse that I can't afford it, you can afford it. You'll be able to drive right up to the door no matter what the weather is. And we'll talk about it a little bit more as time goes on. And you know, we'll also be able to refer you if you have guests that want to have your gift all nicely wrapped. We'll refer you to Joyous Occasions before they come there, so that they can do that. But what I did want to take some time, Gina, and talk about was the method to why people celebrate. And I think that sometimes, you know, it comes from the heart. You want to share an occasion with people.
Right.
And but on the flip side, a lot of times people just kind of go overboard. And they
Exactly.
take it to a different extreme. I do work in the nonprofit realm, my day job. And this is what I do as one of my other outside interests and part-time jobs.
The fun stuff.
The fun stuff, right? And you know, this is what keeps my creative juices flowing and keeps me energized.
Right.
But what I do, my day job, I work with people who I regularly find that they are in financial straits and they are coming for assistance and help because they have gone overboard. And it can be as simple as a child's party,
Right.
trying to keep up, you know,
Yes.
Gina's little baby
We've
and my little
done a lot
baby.
of that.
I've got to have the best party out there.
Exactly.
And so, you know, it doesn't make sense, but it happens all the time that
the time.
the rent doesn't get paid, the car payment is missed,
Utilities.
the utilities are shut off because I had to have the most fabulous Chuck E. Cheese party of the group of friends that I have. And so I know that you've experienced that too.
Definitely. Most at first birthdays are usually a big milestone.
Yes.
We've done a couple of 16 birthdays.
Yes.
So again, landmark birthdays are great when you have the monies to afford it.
Absolutely.
But as you said, for a child's party, we have faced it where, Chuck E. Cheese wasn't good enough. They wanted hundreds of balloons.
They needed something different,
exactly,
something new,
something
right?
outside of that. And so it is, and especially when it's an only child. You want to give them everything and make them feel extremely special. But again, like you said, some parents have a tendency to just kind of take it beyond that level of, blow up a couple balloons and you're done with it. So again, those are times that, folks have called us in, and again, Ms. Gwen very understates it when she says she decided to blow up a balloon. This lady can make amazing structures out of balloons. I mean, folks have come in, myself, even working with her, and have been simply in awe. It's like, wow, that was not like that when I walked away. But again, folks, they want to get that specialization, and a lot of times we get repeat customers because
Absolutely.
they have come to an event that we have coordinated and established, and they'll come back and say, hey, I was at the wedding of, or I was at the party of, and I want to know, how can we do this? Even with corporate events,
Absolutely.
I can remember very vividly a nonprofit that I worked with, and the bottom kind of fell out of the coordinator at the last minute, and I panicked and thought, well, I should not panic. I'll just give Miss Gwen a call, and that's what I did. Setup was absolutely amazing, and for probably a fraction of what they would have actually had to go out and pay for the coordinator that just kind of dropped the ball. So.
Again, it's a part of utilizing the services and the expertise of people who do this all the time.
Correct.
It's ultimately, what are you going to do with 25 clown centerpieces when the party's over? What are you
Right.
going to do with 50 vases
Yes,
when the party's
exactly.
over? Because as decorated as your home may be, they probably aren't quite fitting. Our oldest daughter was married last summer, and beautiful, beautiful centerpieces that her
Peacock colors are
aunt had
amazing.
prepared for her. And but they were so large, they were so elaborate, they were absolutely gorgeous. But they're not centerpieces that you're going to have sitting all around your home.
Right.
And so she has one as a memory, and it does help decorate her home now. But again, what was she going to do with 10 or 15 even of them
Correct.
sitting around the house? So utilizing the services of wedding and event planners, utilizing the service of people in the industry who can do your gift wrapping and delivering, and make all those phone calls. I mean, it goes on and on and on, and we'll talk about those types of things
You
as we
just
get further into it.
Struck up another thought when you said delivery. Valentine's Day.
Oh yeah, Valentine's Day. It seems like it's a long
Wow.
way away, but you go.
Yes, there was definitely a year there where Valentine's Day was the thing. And of course, for all of those who waited until the 11th hour to order flowers and could not get
Yeah.
flowers, they
And paid
thought,
more for them.
exactly, what in the world can I do? So of course, with that one balloon that she started off with, we ended up with beautiful balloon bouquets that were delivered and shuttled throughout the city. And so
Absolutely.
it was fun times.
And you talk about that, and we talked about getting started in the early days. I honestly can say that probably the first 10 years that I was in business, I spent little to no money on marketing and advertising.
All
And
word
now
of mouth.
remember that 20 years ago we didn't have the internet, we didn't have live
Correct.
streams, we didn't have all of those things, so it was strictly word of mouth.
Yep.
And I had sisters and brothers and cousins of people's weddings that I did, and parties and events that we did, corporate
Right.
events,
Yes.
people who, everyone who comes to a wedding, most of them have jobs and they work for their corporation, and they say, oh, well, can you do this event or that event? Absolutely, we're full service. We can do everything, and nothing too small. I'm with Gina on that. There's
Nothing too
no
small.
event or no celebration too small. The smallest ones we've done very intimate anniversary or proposal celebrations, setting it all up for the prospective couple.
Bridal suite.
Bridal
we did a bridal
suites,
suite
yes.
as well.
That was a lot of
yes,
fun.
that was amazing.
Just have the whole party, no fuss, no muss, and then at 5 months pregnant, I remember doing an event at it was then the Holiday Inn Convention Center for 1,500 people. So, and at 5 months pregnant with 2 teenagers as my assistants, that was it. And but we pulled it off without a hitch, and that was a long time ago. I was a lot younger and had a lot more energy too. But I've learned to work so much smarter, and instead of working harder and utilizing all these things. It's our job. It's our job to store everything. It's our job to make sure that your party goes away without a hitch.
Right.
You just have to trust and believe we can take care of it for you.
Right.
So
Because getting the customers' input, of course, is we want to do quality for you. And so it's
Absolutely.
important that you share with us what it is that you want to do, because it's important that we meet your vision. We come to the table with the idea, but we want to get your vision and then walk away with a mutual vision.
And that's what a good event and party planner will do for you.
Exactly.
As a matter of fact, the name of my business, PS Parties and Events, and that has evolved because it was PS Balloons and Parties, and then PS Parties and Gift, but it's PS Parties and Events. The PS stands for personally stated, so that at any time and any event, no matter what it is, we want you to make your personal statement with our help. One of my taglines is "We'll handle the details, you create the memories."
Exactly.
And so that's something that you'll see in most all of my literature. You'll hear us say it all the time. We'll handle the details, you create the memories. This is your way to have a great celebration and not have to worry that when you go back to work, you're going to be working for 6 months to pay for your event.
Exactly.
And
then
if you
not
want
have
to, we can do that. No, you want to,
Definitely.
but one of the things that we're offering is an opportunity for people to have a great event and not spend tons and tons of money. And again, just brings me to another point, not to cut you off, but one of the main reasons that people in relationships, they fight over money.
Yes.
And so when a wedding, for example, in Nebraska, did you know the average cost of a wedding is in excess of $20,000?
I believe that.
And when you start thinking, you think, oh, I can have a $500 wedding. Well, you can, and but that's a far cry from $20,000. But if you're strictly relying on vendors and want to take advantage of everything that the wedding industry has to offer, because weddings, trust me when I tell you, they take on a life of their own.
They do.
And they have a tendency to grow and grow and grow and grow.
Out of control sometimes.
Out of control. And so when families or when couples are starting off with a $20,000 debt that they really didn't need and they hadn't planned for, it can be just that much more added stress that you don't need in a relationship.
Exactly.
So, so we're all about, making relationships. Gina and I both have been married for a very, very long time.
Oh, yeah.
This show isn't
25
about...
plus.
Yeah, 25 plus. I'm coming up on 25 years in January, and we'll be celebrating this December, a pre-celebration for that anniversary. But this show isn't about marriage topics. We'll have to do that another time. But believe me when we say
helping
that we
you
know,
get to that
we want to
event.
get you to that 25 years.
We want to get you married. We want to help you celebrate that first year, and then every year after if you'd like. If not,
Absolutely.
every landmark. So
we want to get
that's
you to the
always
25
important.
years, not to the $25,000, $25K debt.
Exactly.
That's our goal.
Exactly. And we've gone as far as, on the other side, hosting family repasses. We've hosted memorials, worked with families, because again, during that time, it's very stressful for the family. And the last thing that they want to be concerned with is, making sure that their out-of-town guests have somewhere to sit during the repast, or what is the service going to be
Absolutely.
for the repast.
Absolutely.
A lot of times we've had families that will call the day of or the day before because they've completely forgotten about
Absolutely.
that piece of it. And so, again, we're there for you in those times of need as well.
Absolutely.
And so sometimes it's not always the most fun, but again, we bring our expertise and we bring the quality to the event that all you have to do is worry about taking care of yourself and your loved one at that time
Yes.
of bereavement. So that is one thing that especially our first one was very different. As a matter of fact, I think it was very personal
It was
because
very
it was actually
personal.
mine.
It was
so,
your- it was your
yes,
mom. Yes, it was.
and so again, the quality of the service, we are there to help host if required, and just provide that personal service to our clients. And so that's really important to us, is to make sure that again your needs are met and that you don't have to run around kind of the chicken with no elbow kind of thing. We want to make sure
That's a
that
new one.
everything is there for you. We want to make sure that everything is there for you. So again, we kind of give you the opportunity to give us the task, and then just to kind of sit back and enjoy, especially your wedding day. You don't want to have to run around the reception. People
Absolutely.
always forget about the reception.
and it's funny. Well, you bring that up because Jumping the Broom,
Yes.
Bridal and Wedding Consulting, is another business that Gina has maintained for many years.
Yes.
I've worked with her many times in the past, and one of her niches years ago was simply reception direction.
Exactly.
Because that is the time you're all married and everything just goes amok. The most organized person in the world cannot be all places at all
Exactly.
times. A good event planner and a good person that you hire can be all places at all
all
times.
times,
And they keep
exactly.
everyone in check.
There you
And
go.
they keep everything going. I just recently did a day of coordination job, and I think everything went well. I got great props and comments from everyone there, most importantly the bride and groom.
Yes.
And then when I returned to my office, I had a client who had just had a wedding. And the first thing I asked her, I said, "How did it go?" And she said, "I wanted to kill my bridal coordinator."
Oh.
And I'm like, "Why? What happened?" And she said, "Because she ran to me for everything. I really couldn't enjoy my day." And so she was completely, it threw her whole day off. Of course, at the end of the day, they're still married, but that's not a memory. You don't want that to be the first thing to come out of your mouth.
Exactly. But again, that was one of the biggest things with Jumping the Broom for us.
Yes.
There were actually 3 of us at that time.
Yes.
So we had a designer that did florals and the interior type design, and then of course Miss Balloon Extraordinaire.
And we want to shout out to Stephanie. Hi,
Yes,
Stephanie. We
Hey,
miss you.
definitely. And then for myself, at that time, the very non-talented one. However, I could direct. I did
coordinated
very well with
director, that's
coordinating. And again, that was one of the things that I found that was really important, because you have the bride, you have the mother of the bride, and the mother of the bride is trying to help the bride, but then she wants to make sure things are going okay.
Absolutely.
Which created sometimes where we'd have to go in and step between the mother and the bride and say, okay, both of you just kind of go to your neutral corners. We can handle this part of it. So,
And then there's always the aunt.
yes, definitely, we can't
And the
forget the
godmother
aunt.
and
Yes,
the best friend of the mother.
There you
On
go.
both sides.
It goes on and on and on.
They take on a life of their own.
Yes, but if you have a good wedding coordinator, they will be, of course, respectful, but they will be very direct, which of course
Absolutely.
I had to do on several occasions. Walk the person outside and say, okay, now let's come to some understanding. But again, we would agree to disagree, but
Absolutely.
we would agree that I was the one that needed to manage this, and they needed to go and enjoy themselves.
Ultimately.
And so when we got done with it, it was just amazing how happy that person was at the end of the wedding, and like, thank you so much. That's what we're here for. And then, of course, again, the reception. It's always the reception that someone forgot to do something. It never
Absolutely.
fails. It never
Absolutely.
fails. And so, again, just making sure that everything goes according to plan. I tell you, it is the most amazing thing. We have had so many brides and grooms that have been so thankful. And again, the mothers, grandmothers, and on, that were like, thank you so very much for being here and helping us
Absolutely.
out, because we never would have thought of it.
Absolutely.
So,
and and to handle those emergencies, because ultimately there will be an emergency. Something just will not go quite as it was planned
Exactly.
to go, and that's again a good coordinator will take care of those those things at any party or any event. And I mean, literally, this can be the birthday party in the backyard or the
Exactly.
basement or, you know, at the local community center, or it could be the full-blown wedding reception, you know, at one of the convention centers.
Exactly,
There
exactly.
will be some things that do not go as planned, and a good coordinator, someone you know, is going to, I mean, they'll either have an emergency kit if it's something tangible that can be taken care
Exactly.
of, or they will have the wherewithal
To
and the context to
improvise.
improvise and to get you through,
Exactly.
so that your guests and the people that you are putting on this party for,
Exactly.
in celebration for whatever it is you're celebrating, will have no
Exactly.
have no
Have no
impact on them
idea.
whatsoever.
Right,
No
right.
impact on them whatsoever. So Gina and I want you to, if you have any specific questions, if you have an upcoming event that you are planning and you want some help with that and you want to get in touch with us, I do have an email address. You can certainly email either Gwen or Gina at psevents.com, or excuse me, psevents@cox.net. So I'm getting my websites and my email addresses mixed up. So P as in Paul, again, S as in Sam, events, EVENTS, @cox.net. That's our email address, an email address where you can get in touch with both of us and ask us specific questions, and we'll be able to answer those next week when we come back to visit with you.
Definitely. And if you are interested in the gift wrapping services, you know, Black Friday is 3 days away now. Wow.
Less than 72
so,
hours.
it's time, people. It is time. If you are interested in any gift wrapping services, please send us an email at jumpingthebroom. That's all together, jumpingthebroom.j for jump, T for the, B for broom, @gmail.com. Again, that's jumpingthebroom.jtb@gmail.com, or give us a call at 402-913-5645. Again, that's 402-913-5645, and a member of the design team will respond to you.
Ooh, design team.
Yes,
I love that.
yes.
And we actually do have a design team,
Exactly.
a group of people
I'm telling
that we have
you.
worked with, and our head designer.
Over 75 years of experience, if you put it all
exactly.
together. It's a lot of
Well,
time.
Maybe even more than that.
Maybe 75 plus, let's just say.
75 plus
yes.
years.
75
years.
plus.
So if you're sitting there and you are starting to think about a party and you want to, you know, again, exhibit your party style, and you want to throw something that's just fun and upbeat, or if it's elegant and memorable, we have some tips, I guess, that we'll talk about now, what you should do. One of the first things you need to do is pick a place, decide on a venue.
Yes.
And your venue, there are so many things about a venue that I think people, they sometimes get confused. They're not exactly sure what they should be looking for. It doesn't have to be the most expensive place. It needs to be convenient, needs to have plenty of parking. They need to work with you as far as setup and, you know, the availability, the hours, and it needs to be affordable.
Right.
It absolutely has to be affordable. I know that,
And
again,
demonstrate their personality.
absolutely.
If it's something that, I mean, the only place I don't think that we've done an event is at a barn. I don't think we've had an opportunity
We have not
yet.
been to a barn yet.
That's the one place I don't think that we have done an event. Every place else,
And I'm trying to think. I've done events at some barn-like places that I don't think they would. I would not mention them because I don't think they would appreciate that. But I don't know. That's probably one of the most fulfilling, you know,
That's the
events that
only
you can
thing
do.
I
I
can
love
think of.
decorating, and to go into a place that is just ew. I mean, you know, and then to transform it, to have your bride or to have your hostess or host walk in and literally be brought to tears.
Yes.
Because of how
I
beautiful it
can
looks.
recall one in particular where we had to staple things to the
Oh, my
carpet
goodness, we
to
did.
cover
had to make a
the
new
carpet.
floor
Yes, we
covering.
basically had to make a new floor covering
Yeah.
and do a backdrop to kind of eliminate the damage of some of the areas. But again, when the folks came in, they were absolutely amazed. And even that day, we had a very emotional groom
Yes.
that could not believe what he saw. So definitely, but I think a barn is the only place that we have not not yet.
Like I said, barn-like, but I can't think of a barn. Yeah.
We'll work on that. I'm
We think
sure
of that.
that'll happen.
So pick a venue. Start and never be limited by a place that markets itself as a venue.
Right.
There are many different places that you can have events that are, extremely non-traditional. We can talk about some of those. If you have something in mind, for sure, make sure you email Gina and I, and we can maybe give you some ideas directly on how you can transform. But I can just think of walking into places. Sometimes it's the back of the bar.
Right.
Sometimes I've done gymnasiums and fire stations and daycare centers for
Yes.
bridal showers.
Yes.
Places that you would not think of having an elaborate event or an elegant event, and it can be transformed. Just a little bit of
yes.
planning
Oh,
and a
yes.
little bit of creativity, and we both have been given that gift.
Yes.
I think of being able to walk in and see a vision, just see the vision, and know that just about anything can be transformed. And
I can
again,
now create more than just one thing at a time.
and we're great multitaskers. That's what we
Oh,
are.
definitely.
So you want to make sure that your venue is also large enough.
Right.
I've had some near disastrous receptions or events and parties where the venue perhaps held 75 people, and because that's where you were, they tried to squeeze 100, 150 people in there. And that is just that's
work.
not a good plan.
Right.
It's not a good plan. So these are all the things that you want to take into consideration when you're starting to plan your event. The next thing is determine your date and your time, and because dates and times are very important. Just again to give you an idea, with the wedding that we did last year, unbeknownst to any of us, because that was not something that we were particularly concerned with, we planned the wedding on the same weekend as the end of the College World Series. And so here in Omaha, the College World Series is huge, and hotel prices and rental car prices triple at minimum.
Yes.
And we had quite a few guests coming from out of town, and even though we planned a year in advance, it was something to be considered.
Right.
Thankfully, we were at the end of the World Series, and so we were able to get some deals, but
Right,
it would have been better, it would have been different had we taken those things into consideration before we actually had that plan. And it
Right.
would have been a lot less cost effective and a lot less limiting for some of our out-of-town guests at different places that they could stay.
Right.
So the time of day is really important. And also, all of those.
And one thing that I want to interject here when you were saying about picking a venue. First and foremost, start on your guest list.
Absolutely.
Start on your guest list, because I think about an incident where we just were at capacity. And of course, anytime folks know that there's going to be a wedding, they assume there will be food. So they're going to show up without the RSVP. And but plan your guest list. And it's always really good if you have an opportunity, your coordinator should always have that guest list. And I know that that's one of the things
big
we
thing.
have had to seat people at receptions. And if
Yes.
they were not on the guest list, well, I apologize, you're not on the guest list. I was a bouncer, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm 130 pounds. How am I going to be a bouncer, okay? But we just have to, you have to think about the number of folks that you're trying to accommodate. I think is
Absolutely.
very a good thought.
That is a very good thought, and any special accommodations that are necessary.
Exactly.
Because retirement parties and anniversary parties, depending upon where they are, sometimes you're dealing with people who have physical limitations.
Exactly.
They may be a little older, and it's not considerate, and you do need to be considerate of your party guests. Yes,
Right.
it's your celebration, it's all about you, but it's a good idea to be considerate about your guests, and you don't
The
want them to
spiral
have
staircase
yeah,
of
the
42
spiral
stairs.
staircase, 40-some steps that they have to walk up,
Might not
or
work.
no handicap accessible locations, because sometimes I've talked to people, and I've actually done wedding receptions or birthday parties or retirement dinners at places where they were not handicap accessible.
Wow.
They weren't set up as a party venue, so they weren't subject to all those rules and guidelines that the government sets out. But they had guests that really were limited. Yeah, they required some accommodations, wheelchairs and walkers, or just not being able to walk a long distance. And I can remember once a wedding. It was in a very nice venue, but it literally was off the beaten path. And so you not only had to drive up an area that was a little uncomfortable for a lot of people, but then also once you got to the actual venue, you had to walk quite a ways. Quite a ways.
Wow.
I'm a pretty young person, even at my age, and I'm pretty energetic, and I even get tired walking up to. My daughter plays softball, and sometimes we have to walk quite a ways to get to the fields. And even though that's not an event, those are things that you have to take into consideration.
Definitely.
Those are different events and things that I couldn't invite, her grandparents to because
Right.
they're elderly and they couldn't make
Just
it up there.
too much.
Yeah.
Too much.
One of the other things that you want to be cognizant of is picking a theme and or your colors. I always talk about this because I've done receptions at several sites that are extremely colorful. And if that's fine, as long as those are the colors of your
Right.
event.
Right.
And so if you are planning to have a gold and black, for instance, event, and that's your color theme, you don't necessarily, there's not no necessarily to it, you don't want to rent a venue that has purple and orange
Right.
walls and purple and orange carpet.
Right.
And I have done many. I did a banquet at one time, and there were purple walls, and then their color theme was I think it was green and black, and it just didn't go. And so at that point you're kind of throwing your whole theme off.
You're at the mercy of your environment.
You're at
that
the
point.
mercy of your environment. Another wedding that I can think about, and here in Omaha, and beautiful burgundy and ivory. Everything was, and it was an actual wedding reception. Beautiful burgundy and ivory, and the bride and groom had selected some pretty elaborate balloon sculptures and centerpieces and table drapings, et cetera. And it was just a very, very nice atmosphere that they were going for. And the purple, green, orange, and black chairs that were in this venue matched the carpet that was in the venue.
So were these chairs of these different colors or all?
There was a pattern, so they were all
wow.
those colors.
Okay.
And the room itself was big. It was spacious, and the air quality was great. But
Colors,
and
not so much.
this was years ago, and this was before chair covers. But again, that's an added expense.
Yes.
If you're not going to cover your chairs, you're just subjected to the colors that are there in the room. So be careful when you're selecting if you're selecting colors, and then if you want a theme. I don't begrudge anyone any theme that they've ever dreamed of in their entire life. If you want to have a Star Wars wedding or an Elvis wedding, come to our chapel on the 13th
I'm
of
telling you,
December,
it'll be
and you
there.
can do whatever you want to do. You do need to bring your own costumes, but I don't begrudge anyone a theme, but just know what your theme is going to be, stick with that theme,
Yeah.
just be in your theme. Let your event planner or whomever's helping you with this, let them know up front so that they aren't caught off guard by anything.
And we are kind of experts in the area of princess weddings,
Oh, yes.
from pink to black, and I guess we've had the ivory.
Yeah,
So
ivory,
all that
everything.
princess we've covered.
Sky
it.
blue. Long
Yes.
before there was Frozen.
Yes,
little
yes,
baby blues
I'm
and
telling you.
twinkles and all those
So,
different things were very, very
Definitely,
important.
all that we've done everything, the glitter, the glamour, all of that.
Yeah. And now you brought up a point earlier, Gina, about the guest list.
Yes.
And so that's another really, really important point. Plan your guest list, and then the next point that we are going to talk about is set a budget.
Yes.
Absolutely set a budget. Stay within that budget. I have been in the party industry for many, many years, but when I was planning my 25th wedding anniversary dinner, and the events manager said to me, what would you like to do, as far as the dinner? What's your budget? And I looked at him and I thought, I'm going to defer to you at this time, because it was personal, and it was just, I think about these things all the time. I work within people's budgets. It was just something that I just completely forgot to prepare in my head
Exactly.
before I got there. And yes, we were able to. It was the excitement of it all,
yes.
and you'd have to know my husband. He's not quite he's very laid back and quiet, and he's not the big social butterfly that I am. And he's a great guy, but he's just not extremely social unless he's on the golf course.
Exactly.
On the golf course, he's a totally different person. And so, even saying to him, okay, well, this is what our budget is going to be, and that's, our wedding cost probably about $250 back in 1990.
That's amazing.
But that's
amazing.
because the only thing we paid for was a dress and dinner for 20 people. So that
That's
was
amazing.
pretty much it.
And again, we've done that for dinner, for the bridal party or what have you. So yeah, I think that works, and so that still applies in
As it does.
2014.
It does.
It still can apply, folks.
Yeah, my plan is when we have our standalone chapel, and that is the goal sometime in 2015, we'll be having the wedding event on December 13th, 2014, in about 3.5 weeks. We'll also have another wedding event or wedding chapel on Valentine's Day, February 14th, 2015, so just a few months away. But at some point, we will have our own standalone chapel, and I have always dreamed of having my own chapel since I was a little girl. My dad's a minister, and I've always grown up watching him marry people in the church as well as in our home. My mother provided a very nice area, kind of a little chapel area in our home, and it was so exciting for me as a little girl to come in and see people get married, some of whom are still married to this day.
Amazing.
Those that are still alive, because that would have been 40
Years
some
ago.
odd
Yes,
years ago,
yes.
but they are still married. And but when I have my standalone chapel, I've always thought I would have the fabulous $500 wedding. I don't know, and that was when I was 20, when I was 30, when I was 40. I still believe, like you said, it can be done.
It can
be
be
done because you need to trust and believe and allow the experts to do what they do and provide you, handle all the details, you create the memories,
Exactly.
right? Yeah.
PS party and events, and jump in the broom. We've got you covered.
We got you covered. We got you covered. So we're deciding on a budget, and then the next thing is to get the word out. Okay? So here we are. We're in the age of technology, and I come from an age where people I literally have sat down with people who spent $1,000, $2,000 on invitations.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, that's fine. That was in their budget, and they could surely afford to do that, and I don't begrudge them that at all. But now we live in a time where Evites. People do Evites, or they Instagram, or they tweeted, or they texted, those types of things. But if you're having an event or you're having a party that does require, something more formal than that, something a little classier than that, it still doesn't mean that you have to break the bank.
Exactly. Right now, you can find your wedding stationaries.
Absolutely.
If you are an avid Walmart shopper like I am, you can find stationery for $10 in some places. But again, that is something, if you are ready and you're ready for us to come in and help you out with that, we can also help you with your personal shopping and identifying those items for you. So again, that's something that you don't have to worry about. And again, etiquette, protocol, I understand that the age of technology and that type of thing. But again, when it's something that is this meaningful, paper is still a good thing.
Paper is still a good thing.
Paper is still a good thing.
And you utilize, because I'm always shopping, I'm like Gina, and if you see something, and I literally have purchases, stationery and things that I have purchased years ago, but they're still in very good condition. They're still very relevant.
Exactly.
I have been able to, it was probably about 5 years ago that I purchased some wedding stationery, wedding invitation stationery, and I have done wedding invites, wedding renewal or vow renewal invites. I use those to do my daughter's, our oldest daughter, her wedding invitations. We use the reception cards for graduation announcements.
Yeah.
And I purchased them at just like rock bottom, pennies
Right,
on the
yes.
dollar price. Stored them and then printed them on my computer, and there's just a few little touches that you can add to them to make them a little fancier, not to make them, as cookie cutter as you
overwhelming.
think, and not too overwhelming, but just not too plain.
Right.
And but I look at the amount of money that I invested in these invitations, and then the number of parties and the variety of different parties that we've been able to invite
Yes,
people to.
yes.
And I will continue if I ever run across a stationary closeout. I'll buy them again because
Don't worry,
I have
I'll let
saved
you know.
hundreds. I've saved
I will
hundreds
let
for
you
myself
know.
as well as for other people.
And it's really, the invitation process is not as difficult, but when you have a person that doesn't, first of all, have the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And sometimes they just can't find the design that they want.
Absolutely.
Again, you go to a place where they can set up that design. And again, with PS Parties and Events, we're able to do that
Yeah.
because we have folks on the design team, again, that are able to work with the print shops and all those different graphics that are out there to make, like you said, a very nice design that is not going to be overwhelming,
Right.
but is still very elegant.
And so there's absolutely nothing wrong if you utilize social media. Absolutely utilize
Sure.
social media. That's what we're trying to do with our websites and our emails and our listings on, you can find us on Facebook. You can also find PS Parties and Events on mywedding.com. We just recently started working with them, and Thumbtack, all of these different resources that we use. So we have no problem with that. But again, the basics are always good. And when it comes to invites, we'll talk about this at another time, but you have to use social media in order to get the quality and quantity of responses that you're going to need.
And
there is
just
something.
don't forget, with the social media, the quantity of responses may not be what you want.
Exactly.
At your wedding and your reception, because again, you want folks to be cordial and respectful and RSVP if they do plan to attend your event, because again, your venue may not hold
Absolutely.
the number that may show up, and then you may not have provided enough for your meals at that time. So again, be very mindful that that's something else. If you put it out there on social media, a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend is going to probably
We've
show
all
up
heard
at
those
your
horror
event.
stories.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you want to be selective and just not, just open it up to the world, because as
Exactly.
Ms. Gina said, when there's food,
They will
especially
come.
just lay out the food, and they will come.
They will
Absolutely.
come. And goodness gracious, you add a little liquor to that. Oh my.
It's so funny. It brings us back to when Gina mentioned earlier that she and I worked together at a bank, and we were in a special program.
Yes.
And I chuckle about this all the time. And so we basically would have an event. It would be a marketing event every
Yes.
Sunday.
Yes.
We would have events at local churches.
Yes.
And here we are. We're mixing religion and business. I know, but it was a perfect venue in order to
All
get
the
people
time.
together.
Exactly.
And but one of the things that we know was why we were such a success in getting people to come and talk with us after church services or after events there at their church is that we provided food.
Yes.
Those two-piece chicken dinners.
Hey, it worked.
And it worked because every week we probably put ourselves
We
in front of
packed out.
100.
Yes,
we would order
definitely.
100 dinners, and no matter how small the church was,
It was packed.
it was like Easter. It was like
It
Easter
was.
because we were having a marketing event, and we were offering the services of the bank that we worked for at that time, and we were encouraging people to come and talk to us about what was going on at the bank and how we were
And
really trying
non-traditional banking services.
non-traditional banking services. We needed the word to get the word out into the community,
Right.
and someone had the idea that hey, some of your best contacts are there in the churches,
church, that's
and
right.
so those two-piece chicken dinners
It
with a
went
biscuit
well.
and some
I'm
coleslaw.
telling you, and that juice, I tell you, it was orange, needless to say.
Needless to say. But,
you know, our pastors' meetings, whenever we would host anything for the pastors, we always knew what to do.
we always knew what to do, and it was
Be
just,
standing room only.
food, you know, so food will bring out people, and that's the
Yes.
next thing on there is plan your food and utilize whatever resources you have. One of the couples that will be getting married at our wedding event on 12, 13, 14, I was just speaking with the bride and groom this past weekend, finding out how things are going. We're doing the ceremonies, and the rest of the party's up to you. So they're having their wedding reception somewhere else at another venue here in town, and they have decided to do a potluck. Again, you know, they're limited on their budget, and they've been wanting to get married for a long time, and they were going to wait until the summertime, but, you know, he will never forget your wedding date, 12, 13, 14.
Exactly.
Okay? He will never forget your wedding date. And, by the way, the next time we have a consecutive date will be over 20 years, or about
Right.
20 years from now,
Right.
and that will be 1, 2, 3, 4. It'll be January 2nd of 2034.
Wow.
And I'm not going to be doing weddings at that point, I doubt, you know. I'm not going to do weddings in my
Think not.
70s. But,
Maybe we can direct
but
some folks.
our children, our daughters and
Exactly.
our nieces and all of our little surrogate people behind us, as they
They've
look at us,
grown.
they will be all grown, and we will pass the torch
That's
gladly.
right.
But they're doing a potluck. And my sister's wedding, I think we did a potluck, and it's not about where the food comes from, but again, a good planner will help you. It's about the presentation.
Correct.
It's
Correct.
all about the presentation.
Yes.
And so, you know, don't be, you know, thrown back by the fact that, you know, Aunt Sis and Mother May and Miss
Exactly.
Gina and Miss Gwen prepared a dish for you. It's always going to be about the presentation.
That's correct.
And so I don't begrudge anyone. I know that and just think about how much money you save and
Yes.
how involved your loved ones could feel, because
Right,
a lot of times
right.
you do, you know, I mean, you don't want to have, you know, Grandma Lou fix something that tastes really bad. I'm sorry, you know, because, you know, she always says, there was a lady, my father at the church, when he was at the church, he was a country preacher. He always had 4 to 5 churches. And there was a lady that every other Sunday, like clockwork, she would present my family with a cake, beautifully decorated, just luscious, you know, 7-layer chocolate cake.
Wow.
And you could barely get it down. Ellie Mae might as well have made it. So, so when, but
scary.
for those family members that do cook,
Yes.
and they can cook,
Invite them.
Invite them.
Open it up. And,
You know,
and
let them be a
again,
part of the
exactly.
celebration.
And it really, you'd be surprised at the cost of food. I mean, when you're buying it from the venue, or if you get lucky enough to have a venue that will allow you to bring your own
Yes.
food in.
Yeah.
So again, you definitely want to look at your cost and how that's going to relate. If again, like you said, someone comes in and they bring in their greens or their dressing and that type of thing. I'm thinking of Thanksgiving. Can you guys tell? But you know, it's great, and the macaroni and cheese.
Well, and I say that Miss Gina just had a milestone birthday celebration,
Yay.
and it was beautifully decorated, you know, in probably what most people would not consider to be a traditional venue. It literally, we created a club. Or I
French
shouldn't even say
Quarter.
we do.
The
She created
French
the
Quarter.
French Quarter. She and her
Yes.
friends and family created the French Quarter. I was strictly on the end to give my glowing
Exactly. I needed to have you to give
my
that overview.
glowing compliments on how beautiful it was. And
Thank you.
but the food was absolutely scrumptious. It was delicious.
Thank
You could tell it was prepared from the heart, but you would not have been able to tell that it wasn't fully catered in. And
Not at
everything you
all.
can imagine she
yeah.
had. But that, again, being conscious of what she wanted, and yeah, it was the French Quarter and all of the
Definitely.
food. It was unbelievable. And it was just presented very, very nicely. It's all about the
Had Mardi
presentation. Mardi Gras all on the brain, so she had a Mardi Gras crossover birthday
That's
party,
right,
and that was
that's
wonderful.
right.
So set the mood and the tone of your party with lighting and with decorations. Again, so many opportunities are missed sometimes when you have events, and it can be very, very basic. You can take a room that's just a box, as long as it's a clean slate, you know,
Yes.
with all of your draping and table coverings and, you know, chair covers and centerpieces and lighting, you know,
Yes.
uplighting,
Lighting
all of
is
those different
important.
things. Lighting is extremely important. I oftentimes will show brides when I consult with them. I will show them pictures, before and after pictures of gymnasium, for instance.
Right.
That is very stark, very impersonal,
Right.
and you're just like, it's a sweaty gym, but it can turn into a beautiful reception site. And that's because I've done all the work, I've done all the research. I know it can be done, and we can certainly show you how, you know, your event and your venue can be transformed too.
Most definitely.
The amount of decorations, too little, too much, is completely up to you. Rule of thumb, I say, my sister and I just recently did a party at a small venue here. It was very small, low ceilings, very compact, and it really was adorable. But one of the things that we had to be cognizant of is just not overdoing it.
Right.
Because at that point, then people aren't comfortable moving
right.
around. And on the flip side of that, because you put so much time, energy, and money into planning it, you don't want people, you know,
Tripping
just
over
tripping
one
over
another and not
everything
having much room, and you know, you
and
want it
messing
to
with your
be-
decorations.
Yeah, it's like, oh, this is in my way, you know. But you want folks to be in an intimate surrounding, but you don't want them to kind of be elbow to elbow. So,
Yes.
you know, and that's definitely something that you want to look at.
Yes. So, you know, to kind of wrap it up, we want to finish talking about parties. There's many other facets and details that need to be worked out, but we want you to know that PS Parties and Event and Joyous Occasions and Jumping the Broom Bridal and Wedding Consultants, we're here to handle all the details so that you can create the memory, so that you can be that social butterfly, so that you can enjoy your guests, so that you can enjoy the celebration. And we'd love to hear from you, like we said, during the week. If you have any questions, something that you're thinking about, something that you're planning, please visit my website, pspartiesandevents.com, or email me at psevents@cox.net. You can also call the phone number for our business, which is 402-457-9818. You will find all of the contact information on the website, www.pspartiesandevents.com. If you know anyone who's getting married, they don't want to miss this opportunity,
Right.
because 12, 13, 14, a wedding event. PS Parties and Events will be hosting a wedding chapel. We are bringing Vegas to Omaha.
Exactly.
That's what we're doing. We're
Exactly.
bringing
There
Vegas
you
to
are.
Omaha.
There you are.
And it's going to be a beautiful day, regardless of what the weather is. You're going to be
It's
able to
gonna be a
drive
beautiful day.
right up. It's a covered driveway. You'll be able to walk in, get married, have a few little trinkets, get some pictures taken. You'll be able to invite your friends, your guests. At the end of the day, I mean, we will have officiants and everything there, but you do need to plan. You need
yes.
to reserve a spot
Reserve your
ahead of
time,
time.
yes.
But we will be there all day. All of the information about that event is on the website. And then also with Joyous Occasions, Gina.
And again, when you have those gifts purchased and you're ready for them to get wrapped before your 12, 13, 14 event, for those of you who are out there listening to the brides and grooms, please email us at jumpingthebroom.jtb@gmail.com, or you can reach us at 402-913-5645. Again, that's 402-913-5645, or jumpingthebroom.jtb@gmail.com. And also, we will be a featured vendor at a craft show and holiday boutique that'll be hosted December the 20th from 9 to 3, and it's at St. Mark Baptist Church, 3616 Spalding Street. And again, there will be information there for PS Parties and Events for our 12, 13, 14 wedding event. And again, that's Saturday, December 20th from 9 to 3 p.m. at St. Mark Baptist Church, 3616 Spalding.
Okay, so what we want to encourage you to do is we want you to be true to yourself. We want you to celebrate how you can, and we want you to celebrate your party with style. Don't worry about how someone else might do it. Just
do your thing.
Just know that you can do your thing. You can do it with class without breaking the bank and without putting that much more stress on yourself.
Exactly.
We're here to answer all of your questions, and it's been nice talking with you.
Yes, definitely. Have a happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
And I hope to see you on 12, 13, 14 here in Omaha, Nebraska. Thanks.